So after The Mandalorian Season 2 set Boba Fett up to be this badass crime leader on Tatooine, I was really looking forward to his own show, The Book of Boba Fett. And was it good? Yes and no. So this show picks up right after Boba Fett takes over Jabba's palace, as shown in The Mandalorian Season 2. And what's crazy is that the best episodes of this show don't even feature the main character. That's right, The Mandalorian literally steals this show from Boba Fett. But more on that in a bit. For the most part, in the first 4 episodes, the only thing that's interesting is the flashbacks. So Boba basically dreams all of his memories in this bacta tank that's healing his injuries. Injuries he got from his famous stumble into the Sarlacc pit. Seeing the Tusken Raiders culture expanded upon and how they get their special sticks from the special tree, that's all pretty cool stuff. But it gets dragged on, sometimes literally. While there's some cool stuff in these flashbacks, none of it's really tied to the plot. We get a vague sense that Boba's learning respect from the Sand People, but none of it's really driving the plot forward. And when these flashbacks happen every single time Boba just happens to decide to take a bath, it kinda hurts the pacing. If the present day stuff actually had exciting things happening, it could make up for the flashback problem. But he kinda just walks around town and he's like, "Hi, I'm Boba Fett, the new crime leader. You should probably respect me." And nobody wants to talk to him. The show also struggles to make you care about the side characters. There's this Twi'lek lady and she's like, "I run the bar." That's it. She gets like 2 or 3 scenes in the first few episodes, and honestly, I can't tell the difference between these scenes. It's hard to care when she ultimately gets blown up, because they just didn't develop the character. There's a Wookie that has a midlife crisis, which is kind of funny. But again, he has like 2 minutes of character development, and then he just stands there. Oh, and of course, we get this scooter gang, and they're all in these bright, skittle-colored scooters. And in the grimy streets of Tatooine, where there's just a bunch of criminals, having these brightly colored scooters just does not fit. Maybe on Coruscant and Attack of the Clones, but not here. But the main problem isn't that the scooters are different colors, or that they look like Power Rangers. The problem is that these characters aren't really characters. They like mention their defining trait when you first meet them, and then that's it. So then the Mandalorian shows up, and this is no longer Boba Fett's show. And right from the start, it was way more interesting of a story. I knew I really didn't care for the Boba Fett storyline when I was more invested in watching Mando take public transportation. I thought it was a pretty cool story element to have Mando get cast out of his own clan for taking his helmet off in the end of season 2. It feels like a way more personal story than Boba's, where he kind of just decided, yeah, I'll run this crime organization, whatever. I will say this though, that junkyard lady, or whatever she's called, kind of gets on my nerves, man. She wouldn't shut up about dating a Jawa, and her screaming and stuff just reminds me of something out of The Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. But then episode 6 came along, and it's basically just pure Star Wars fan wish fulfillment. And to a certain degree, there's nothing wrong with that. And we actually get Luke Skywalker using deepfake technology. And this year, he actually looks like he could pass for a human being instead of a PlayStation character. I really enjoyed everything about this episode. Luke training Grogu, Ahsoka Tano making another appearance, a quick flashback to Order 66. There's a lot of cool stuff here. None of this belongs in a Boba Fett show, but it's still cool, and I can't deny that. So Luke makes Grogu choose between the Jedi and seeing Mando again. And he chooses Mando. And considering how this is the first Star Wars show that they actually wrote after getting feedback from Mando Season 1, it just seems like they looked at how popular Grogu was, and they're like, oh damn, we can't let him go with Luke Skywalker, get him back in here. Grogu equals money, man. Unfortunately, when we get to the final episode, a lot of the show's problems come up again. None of the supporting characters really get satisfying conclusions to their character arcs. It was basically one of those finales where they're just like, let's just shoot a bunch of stuff. There are a few things that they try to wrap up with a satisfying conclusion, like revealing that the Pikes took out the Sand People that Boba used to live with, but that doesn't really make much of an impact, especially when you don't even really remember who the Pikes are. Cad Bane's really the only villain that came off across as an actual threat. He really brings the Western vibes to the show and actually feels like a force to be reckoned with. Plus, his history with Boba makes the story more interesting. I think including him earlier on in the show would have added more suspense to the overall plot. If they had to do flashbacks in the show, it would have been way more interesting to see young Boba Fett being mentored by Cad Bane. And having these flashbacks could really serve to further the plot, unlike the majority of the Tusken Raiders scenes, which sort of feels like an afterthought when it comes to the overall story.
Like a panther. Yes.
Or maybe I'm biased because I think Cad Bane is awesome and I want to see more. So overall, the Book of Boba Fett is a mixture of some really good stuff and some really bad stuff. I think the show would have been way better if they focused in on Boba's character and spent a little more time developing what they actually wanted to do with this story.
We are not suited for this.
What'd you think of this show? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Movie Night.